What's up, Michigan? You know what time it is. Time for another episode of Hang Time, presented by Lawrence Technological University. I am Lauren Plant. TJ Kelly is here. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. March Madness is here. Say no less.
Yes, that is exactly right.
No more.
TJ Ben has been absorbing a mass amount of district matchups. We're going to talk about district finals on this week's show. We got a lot to get to, but let's start with some paint pontifications, get into a couple of subjects before we get into our predictions, his predictions for what's going to happen on a district final Friday. Let's talk about the remaining undefeated teams. In Division I, it's fourth-ranked Dearborn. The Pioneers are hot. They are the KLAA champs. They took down Canton. Guys like Nassim Moshour and others playing great, taking on River Rouge, a team that has double-digit losses, but strength of schedule, I would say, maybe favors the Panthers, not the Pioneers. But what's your take on Dearborn?
Oh, without a doubt. And no records involved here with Rouge when you set your schedule up, and they're independent. Right. So they set their schedule up where they're playing. I think they have, 10 of their losses are to top 25 teams. So I think that speaks a lot there. Dearborn, and they have a historic season, their first ever undefeated season, going this regular season, and then going this far. Having to play at Rouge, that might be one of those things where it might make it a little bit difficult, but definitely a test. And I think that's going to be one of the standout games of the day.
It's been a great season for Dearborn, and we'll see how far they can take this run. They're going to have to take on the winner of number 9 Cass Tech or Detroit King in the regionals if they get that far. If it's the defending champ Technicians, then it would be a rematch of last year's regional final when Cass beat Dearborn by 31 points. But these are not the same teams as last year.
No, not at all. And hats off to Steve Hall. You talk about just graduating an entire class, losing the best point guard in the country. It's one of those things where they like to say, they don't have to rebuild. They just implement the players that have been in the practices and going against, iron sharpens iron. Going against those tough guys every single day in practice. But yeah, that's going to be a phenomenal matchup. Cass and King. We'll see who's going to win that. That's always a great war.
No doubt about it. Now, in Division III, we have a trio of perfect squads. Don't have even footage, I believe, on some of these teams. However, we've got to shout them out. North Muskegon, Laingsburg, and Chesaning. That's right, Chesaning. Now, Laingsburg were quarterfinalists in 2023. North Muskegon got out of the districts, but no further last year. Chesaning was in Division II. They struggled in the districts, but they are hosting the district this year in Division III. Start with Chesaning, unbeaten. They're taking on Obed-Elsie, who they've beaten twice this season already, although they were close games. The city is on fire. The team is getting it done.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be. High school sports, the community is supposed to back, those teams that are standing out because it's rare. It's something that, you're not going to see often. But hats off Chesaning, dropping down to Division III. And it's one of those things that probably only, 50 students, which, kept them in Division II last year. And then you look over to Laingsburg. Hats off to Xander Woodruff. That's a guy that we haven't talked about. He scored 50 points in the week prior to the playoffs. But, yeah, he's got Laingsburg rolling as a senior, and those are some of the things that, you're really looking forward to. And then North Muskegon, I think that they get overshadowed. I'm thinking of the 20 years that we have West Michigan or West Muskegon Christian that wound up winning, I think, 2 or 3 titles in a row.
Did.
That was 20 years ago. Muskegon's won championships. Muskegon Heights, they've been there in the past with Division III or Division II with Keith Guy was there before he made the move over to Muskegon. So, hey, there's some great basketball. We're going to have to check what's going on in that water. I know that they, I'm not sure if it's the dunes or anything like that, not far north, where they get to walk up and down, strengthen the legs, and prepare them for the long stretch of the playoffs.
Say what you want. Being undefeated at this point of the season, having 20-plus wins is super huge, super important, and could be a super swing for them as far as momentum goes. We could see a regional semifinal matchup between 2 unbeatens in Chesaning and Laingsburg. We'll see if that plays out. Laingsburg being defending regional champs. North Muskegon back in the district finale. They'll face a team they've already defeated this season. Most likely would face a 20-plus win Pewamo Westphalia team. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, before we finish up what's happening here on Paint Pontifications, we want to talk about the Mr. Basketball finalists. They have been announced, and we need TJ's thoughts on this Fab Four. But first, are you surprised by just 4?
Yeah, I think that when you have the opportunity to have 5, or you say, hey, we're going to reduce, the tallies from counting everybody, where it's, I mean, we go back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you had a dozen guys that were on that list. Now you can cut it down to 5, but then to say only 4. And not only that, the thing that's surprising to me is we don't have anybody in the Detroit metro area that's on that Final Four list.
Yeah.
And would it be great to see Tyler Spratt or Landon Williams, from North Farmington on there? Of course it would be. Maybe even just to have one or the other, so they're not even splitting votes. But yeah, hats off to the guys that did make the Final Four. They're very deserving. I mean, they're putting up great numbers, headed on to college, Division I. So hey, we're going to see how that winds up happening, and I look forward to seeing the votes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about 2 guys today. We'll talk about 2 next week. But let me give you the 4 that have been named as finalists for Michigan Mr. Basketball in 2024. Darrell Fat Brooks, no surprise, 6'2" guard from Grand Rapids Catholic Central. He will be a Wolverine for the University of Michigan. Tyler Odie, a 6'6" guard from Saginaw Heritage. Tyler will take his talents to Toledo. Aiden Davis is a 6'10" center from Onstead, the second from his family to be nominated for Mr. Basketball. His brother Austin finished runner-up to Cassius Winston in 2015. Aiden is headed to Wright State. And Matt Alderink, the 6'6" forward from Zeeland West, headed to Larry Legend U, also known as Indiana State. But we're going to talk about 2 today, and let's start, of course, with Darrell Brooks, 6'2" guard. What he's done from Grand Rapids Catholic Central from that freshman state championship onward. He has been the straw that stirs the drink for Grand Rapids Catholic Central for many years.
Yes, and I think one of the things we've always talked about on state champs, even prior to me being here, is that you have to put your name out there. Well, the best way to get your name out there is to do it on the big stage. Yeah. Fat Brooks has had the opportunity to do that. And that was early in his career, and then he commits to Michigan, so he boosts his stock even that much further to be on that Mr. Basketball list. I think if we went back and 2 years ago, when you say, hey, who's going to be on the list, the only one they would be able to say for sure would be Brooks. Yeah. So yeah, hats off to him, very deserving. And let's see what kind of run that they make on the, they're still alive. So
they sure are, and it's going to be a tough road if they're going to get there too. A lot of competition. All right, Tyler Odie, the guard from Saginaw Heritage, going to Toledo. So versatile. I think kind of that prototypical kind of swingman that you want at the next level, as well as what he can do here in high school.
One of the best shooters in the Midwest, if you ask me. A little bit of riddled by injuries going back a year and a half ago, but we'll see how that is. Hey, he's going to University of Toledo, one of the strongest teams in the MAC, so I know that they're pretty happy. Todd Kowalczyk getting a pretty strong player there, and he's gonna be one of those guys where let's see where if he can get let's say a few other guys who are out there voting can go out there and see him play. And Heritage playing great basketball, and like we've said, winning goes a long way as far as catapulting yourself or putting yourself further on the stage for Mr. Basketball.
I know. I think he could shoot from the logo if you wanted to.
Oh, I've seen him do it multiple times.
Exactly. So, all right. So that's Paint Pontifications for this week. We're going to get into this week's future forecast, and this week's future forecast deals with the immediate future. We're talking about district championships, and we have several for TJ to talk about. Scoop IPS about to give you the scoop on who will win. You can take it to the bank. Am I right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Count on me. I'm the guy.
All right. We shall see. Anyway, we got some great matchups. This is what a lot of we were hoping to see in Division I. Let's talk about District 21 at Hamtramck. Detroit Renaissance beat Fitzgerald. Number 10 UD Jesuit took care of the host Cosmos. So the winner between Renaissance and UD Jesuit would get either De La Salle or Roseville in the regionals. But first things first, this is going to be a great game.
Oh, this is going to be a great game. And I will say this, if you're getting to Hamtramck on Friday, get there early. Yeah. And I'm just saying there's not a lot of parking there, a lot of one-way streets. If you know the bus routes, take the bus route. But yes, this is going to be a great matchup. You talk about Renaissance, one of the obviously the runner-up for PSL, one of the up-and-coming teams. I've already talked about them, and going on in the future for next year, I think the University of Detroit Jesuit is very similar. They're the only team to beat Orchard Lake St. Mary's this season.
That's right,
and they've got some of the best guards. Leroy Blyden's in that game. You've got Xavier Johnson. It's also good to see Sebastian Randolph. He's slimmed down. I saw Alaric Jackson last week, and so many times I've looked at Sebastian and I said, hey, kid, you're going to play basketball or football. And Alaric Jackson plays for the Los Angeles Rams and went to Renaissance. So it was one of those things where, just kind of thinking about that a little bit in the future. But I think that's going to definitely be the top matchup in the 3-1-3.
All right, we'll see. In Division II, let's talk about District 45, this one being played at Hudsonville Unity Christian. Number 6, Grand Rapids Christian taking on South Christian. This is a rematch from the first game of the year in which Grand Rapids Christian won that contest, which was a statement win versus the defending state finalists in South Christian. 21-2 on the season, but South Christian just beat Unity Christian, another perennial power when it comes to playoff basketball, and they've won 8 in a row.
Yeah, and I thought that this was that district. In my eyes, everybody's well over 500. I think you had 4 or 5 teams, just in that district that had 15 wins. So Unity Christian, I know that Grand Rapids Christian, to talk about get-backs.
Yes.
Unity Christian beat Grand Rapids Christian last year.
Yep.
But now we're going to see Grand Rapids Christian and Grand Rapids South Christian.
Yeah.
And when you talk about some guys in that game, you talk about Jalen Owinga, who's going to Toledo. We've talked about Nathan Johnson. Eric Taylor's doing a great job of coaching the Grand Rapids Christian. Moving over to Grand Rapids South Christian. Carson Viss is one of those guys. If I was going to say maybe on that Mr. Basketball list for next year, he would be on it. And I'll also say that if I watched the game last night, he put on a show last night, and they were down by 2, I think, at the half, and then wound up taking over in the second half, and it was the Carson Viss show. He did a great job, got a lot of strong rebounds, putbacks, and just did a lot of the right things that winners have to do to advance.
Yeah, absolutely. We're recording on Thursday, so we're talking about last night, meaning Wednesday. Let's get back to Division I. District 13 at Ann Arbor Huron. Number 14, Ann Arbor Huron versus Ann Arbor Pioneer, doing it for the umpteenth time in a district championship in their history. Huron has lost twice to the Pioneers, including a nail-biter 54-53 on February 13th. But again, probably throw the records out. This one is for pride.
Yeah, definitely pride. And not only that, bragging rights for all through the future. Hey, you can win these regular season games. What are we going to do, especially for the seniors, that are going to be graduating? Yeah. I'll also say it's tough to beat a team 3 times.
It is.
And I'm only going to say this just because they're Ann Arbor guys. Go back and look at the national championship that Glenn Rice and all those guys did, or made the run in the Final Four when Michigan had to beat Illinois. Terry Mills a little bit, he was overshooting the three-pointer and Shoggen Higgins with the putback. So for those Pioneer and Huron kids that are watching, go ask your parents about that game, and they'll look at you with joy, and you might even get off with doing a little bit of chores from that one.
Well, there you go. All right, on the other side of the bracket in District 16, this one taking place at Belleville, number 13, Saline, taking on Ypsilanti Lincoln. The Hornets have 20 wins, but split the season versus the Rail Splitters this year.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, we're looking further down the road again. I think that, Selena's making their mark this year. They've been in the top 25 for the vast majority of the season. John Sanderson, the sophomore point guard, has been nothing short of fantastic. He had 44 points a week or 2 ago. He was, I think, close to 20 points in the first half of Wednesday's victory over Belleville. At the same time, you talk about teams that have played each other. Ypsi Lincoln's fantastic. Jesse Davis has been there. He can talk about what his team needs to do to make that run. And again, you have guys who were freshmen when that team won that as a senior with when Amani Bates, was only a sophomore. So to go back to that, but it's phenomenal to see those guys grow up, and then 3 games in a row. Or that play the 3rd time, that's going to be a tough one to grind out. The rubber match.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Saline is hot. Big brouhaha taking place in Lakeland. District 25, number 1, Orchard Lake St. Mary versus number 11, West Bloomfield for District Hardware. The Lakers certainly have taken their lumps this season, but they have played a really tough schedule. They are battle-tested. The question is, can they rise up and take down number 1 Orchard Lake.
Yeah, they did take their lumps at the beginning of the season, and just a little bit of gelling that went in there. They almost didn't make it. Vish Das almost shot him out of the I mean, he hit 6 of his first threes to start the game on Wednesday. That's Walled Lake Central.
Yes.
Who was up on West Bloomfield, close, maybe double digits at one point.
Yeah.
But you talk about a lot of star power in this game. Obviously, Orchard Lake St. Mary's, they're loaded. It's going to be an opportunity for West Bloomfield. Let's see if they get stuck in the lights or if they step up and they're ready and they're prepared. And I think that they're also going to match up very well in the paint. Keith Gilmore, one of the stronger, tougher guys, also a senior who's 6'4", 190 pounds, who's going to go out there and be able to battle in the boards. Let's see who's going to guard, who's going to defend Trey McKinney, and a lot of other factors that are going to go into that. But you talk about the star power game, that's it on Friday.
No doubt about it. In Division II, District 39 at Owasso, Flint Hamady and Flint Powers on a collision course. Powers sent a message this summer that they were ready to ball. They were turning a lot of heads, and Hamady's won 5 in a row, including a win versus Beecher in that run. What do you say in this matchup?
Well, I really like what Coach Torbert has done. So many times, Hamady really hasn't made that long run. I think that they can do that this year. They've got the seniors. They've got the energy. They can really go out there and step it up. Guys that are ready. Javante Boos is one of the better players out there. He's hit big shots like he did in the Motor City Roundball Classic for the win. And then you look over at Flint Powers, and we've talked about them being I think next year be one of the top teams in the state. They've got the Cole twins, and then they've also got Javante Ross, who's one of the better up-and-coming point guards as a junior.
Right on. In District 12, just a couple of more here. This one at Mason, number 2 East Lansing versus number 19 Okemos, and it's round 3. Can East Lansing beat this team for a 3rd straight time this season?
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be as close as the Ann Arbor Huron, a Pioneer game, which I think can go either way. I think the East Lansing, they've been taking care of business the entire season. They've handled Okemos very well. Now they get to play on a neutral court, just south of East Lansing, and we'll see what goes on. But I think that what Ray Mitchell and the East Lansing Trojans are doing, or Spartans are doing, is nothing short of fantastic this season. Right.
Okay. One more, even if we don't have footage, we just want to mention real quick, District 7 at Byron Center, number 25 Byron Center versus East Kentwood. Winner of that one with a good shot to get to a regional title, I would say.
Well, I would definitely say that. I don't want Mike Thomas. To me, when I say Mike Thomas's name, it's almost like Mike Williams. You know what I'm saying? Both the guys, as coaches, kind of emerged at the same time, winning championships. Mike Thomas has a way of inspiring his guys, and they've got point guards. They've got front court play with Christian Humphrey Rembert. We'll see what he can do. He's going to have to step up, in playing against Byron Center, because they're going to need him against Camden Carell. Isaac Lee is a point guard, a junior point guard, who's also been a standout. I was able to see him a lot last summer, a lot last spring, and then obviously the success that Byron Center is having right now. And the thing that I like about Byron Center and East Kentwood is their division, their league in the I'm not sure exactly. Sorry about that. But in the OK is one of the tougher divisions in that region. Mm-hmm. And so I think that when you get to have games night in and night out, and get to let's say this iron sharpens iron, and I think that it's one of those things where their mettle has been tested, and they'll be ready. So, but if you're asking me, I think that Byron Center is going to pull this one out.
All right, we shall see. Just going to preemptively say congratulations to all the district champions out there. It truly is a momentous occasion when you can get that first piece of hardware. For some teams, it's eluded them for a long time. For others, yes, maybe it's just another one for the case, but it means something. And I think what really is special about winning that district title is usually against one of your rivals, maybe a team that you play during the season. So it gives you an opportunity to have the last word, as it were, for this season. But next week, it's regionals. That's our show for this week. Guess what's happening next week? We're going live.
Can't wait.
It's going to be very interesting. Thursday, March 7th at 3 p.m. You see it right there on your screen. We are going live. Regional Talk, taking your comments live. And we want you guys to interact with us. It's going to be very, very interesting. There's some really interesting early matchups in the regionals. So how the regional finals are going to fare, how they're going to be laid out is going to be very interesting. We want to talk about it with you. So make sure to join us. We will do that next week. For TJ, I'm Lauren. Thank you once again for tuning into this week's State Champs Hang Time.
State Champs Hang Time is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Hang Time is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, proud partner of the MHSAA. And the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Athlete of the Year Award applications now being accepted until March 31st, 2024 for the male and female athletes of the year. Download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. You cannot be nominated if you don't apply.